Hey guys, Luke here at the eDrum workshop. Hope you're having a great day. Wow, so this is a bit out of the blue. I wasn't planning on making an additional video sort of outside of what I had planned, but I kind of saw this unfolding in real time on the Strike Pro owners group on Facebook, and I thought it was super interesting. It looks like Alesis have come out with a new version of the Strike Pro line called the Strike Pro SE or Special Edition, but there's been no formal announcement yet. It just seems to have popped up in maybe a couple of Guitar Center stores in the US. The news of it seemed to break sort of twice at the same kind of time. One user posted in the group showing off his new purchase, and to the amazement of the other members, it's just this new version with all white mesh heads, a 20-inch kick pad, lugs on all the drums, seemingly a different hi-hat solution. Meanwhile, another user, sort of within the same hour, posted photos from a Guitar Center, not sure if it's the same one, saying he just spotted it on the floor, but the employees didn't really seem to know much about it. And then, with a bit more digging, a few other members have spotted an ad for it on the Facebook page for Pro Sound Gear, which is showing it in its full glory, the proper promo shots. So the speculation that maybe the kit was a mod or something can be dispelled. Also, some photos of the boxes from a Guitar Center store were shared, so we're definitely not looking at a user configuration here. This is going to be the new Strike line. From reading the comments, it looks like a couple of people might have tried to reach out to Alesis, who were saying to expect info next week, and that looks to be about it. So yeah, from what I've been reading, there'd been a couple of rumblings with people wondering if a new model might be on the horizon, as some people were finding it hard to get hold of kits at some stores, with staff suggesting that maybe there's a new model coming. That's maybe why they were finding it hard to get stock. But yeah, no formal announcement yet. I imagine it's coming really soon, as they say, next week. I can't really tell, to be honest, if somebody at the stores just kind of jumped the gun here and put something on sale that shouldn't be yet, or even, you know, the cynic in me is saying, well, maybe it's part of trying to create a buzz, you know. I don't know, but something kind of similar did happen with the Strike Pro Multipad. There was some brochure or something that just had it listed with a photo way before Alesis even announced it themselves. It just kind of popped up out of nowhere and people were like, what? So maybe this is part of the Alesis strategy or something, or maybe it's coincidental, but it's definitely not going to be hurting anything, you know, people are talking about it. I mean, I'm literally making this video, so yeah, it's not going to hinder them. But it looks like this could well be the reason that the Strike Pro had been bundled up with the new Strike amp that they released. You know, they're trying to shift stock out of the stores ready for this new one. So let's have a look at the kit itself. It seems like we're looking at the same size configuration as the original Strike Pro model, bar the kick drum, of course. You've got 8, 10, 12 and 14-inch toms, a 14-inch snare, the 16-inch ride, 3, I think, 14-inch crashes, and a 14-inch hi-hat pad. Though what's interesting about the hi-hat is it looks like they've gone down the sort of VH11 Go eDrum kind of route with a single cymbal pad and a controller box. They've done away with that bottom cymbal plate that they had on the original version of the Strike. I think that aesthetically maybe it's not quite as pleasing. That sort of bottom plate did help sell the hi-hat look, but it's probably going to be functionally the same or possibly even better, because from reading stuff about it, the hi-hats always seem to be one of the Strike's weakest parts. I'm aware that the most recent firmware has sort of apparently helped tip it back towards being decent, but I do see a lot of people swapping out that original hi-hat pad for something like a VH11 or a VH10 or a Go eDrum controller with a different top cymbal, and just sacking the original controller off. So I think this is probably a good move for Alesis here. I'm loving the 20-inch kick drum. They've obviously taken a leaf out of the ATV playbook here and gone, right, let's give this thing some stage presence. So that's cool. I don't know if maybe they'll do a variation without it for people that want to keep the smaller pad style drum, or if they'll keep the original going alongside this one. But I like that manufacturers are catering for people who want larger kick drums for the aesthetics. And there's something about hitting a larger head that can sort of help sell that playfield too. If you're not sure what I mean by playfield, go check out my sounds versus playfield video. I've just done a video about that. The cymbals just look like the normal Strike cymbal pads. They're okay. I've got a couple of those as I bought the Strike expansion pack at a good discount a while ago, but unfortunately one of them's gone bad. The edge switch stopped working on pretty much exactly half of the original playing surface. so I just have this tiny quarter of a pad to hit to get the edge sound, and the other one has sort of perished in this terrible DIY attempt that I did at heat shrinking some wire, so that one was totally my bad, but that's another story. A really dumb story. But yeah, they're functional. The rubber's a bit softer than the Roland ones. They're a little bit sort of big and chunky. They don't sort of sway and swing quite as well as Roland, and especially not the ATV. But they do work okay. The piezo placement is a little bit wonky. It's at the back of the cymbal, so you can get a weak signal. But if you fancy a bit of modding, you can actually stick another one on the playing side, sort of wire it up. And you can get some really good results, which is, what I did until I killed one of my pads. So, maybe don't do that. But okay, on to the next biggest change, the drum pads themselves. So they've done away with that sort of free floating style sort of looking thing with the tube lugs that don't connect directly to the shells. And they've gone for actual lugs on these. I didn't really have an issue with how they looked before. I can't really tell if these pads are much deeper than the original from these photos. I mean, they kind of look pretty much the same depth, to be honest. And they've interestingly gone with a black and gold hardware look. Appears to be black lugs and hoops with gold tension rods. That's kind of interesting. I'm not 100% sold on that, to be honest. You've still got other bits of chrome hardware, like the snare stand and the cymbal stands. Like the jack input on the pad looks like it's still chrome. The wing nuts on the racks and things like that. So I don't know, I mean, that's a little bit jarring for me, but some people are loving it from the comments, so, to each their own, really. They've kept the red sparkle wrap. Looks like they're wanting to keep that as their main colour scheme. I'm down with that, that's cool. But it does look like they've gone with a black rack, which I think is okay. I mean, that matches up with that sort of black hardware thing. But it kind of reminds me of, like the cheaper sort of lower end Roland kits and other cheaper brands. So it just kind of balances out as, well, okay then, for me, Again, matched with the bits of chrome and then some gold bits. To me, that just kind of seems a bit weird. But sure, I mean, they want to make it look a bit more premium. Maybe it does. I don't know. I mean, I've not really made up my mind here. I'm sure you can tell that. The mesh heads, they've gone and changed them to new white ones. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what made them think that they ought to change out from the black ones. Maybe it was just too much black on their new black and gold colour scheme. And, I like white heads. I think they look clean. Unless, like me, you managed to get them all dirty. But, I think that looks nice. They've seemed to have set themselves apart a little bit here from other brands with that black ring on them. So yeah, that's cool. No objections here. And then it looks like the same strike module, and from reports, it looks like, yeah, it's the usual strike module with the 1.4 version upgrade, which I'm not surprised about. I had a feeling that they were going to stick with that for a while. That's going to be the hardest part to develop and where most of the money's gone into, so they'll want to get as much mileage out of that as they can. This promo shot that's out suggests some kind of enhanced articulation system involved. I mean, I've got no idea if that's apparently a new thing for this, or if the old strike kit said the same. I suppose we'll wait for the announcement there, see if anything different crops up. But that seems to be all we actually have to go on at the moment. Definitely interesting. I like that they've revamped the line a bit. Hopefully this keeps the competition coming, and pricing wise, it looks like they're listing it for around $2,500, which I think seems pretty fair. I can't remember the exact price that the original Pro line came out at. I'm sure it's something like $2,000 or $2,200, something like that. So, that seems like it's in a pretty good price point. I'm waiting on hearing back about the triggers inside. I want to see if they've kept that same plate style or not. My initial guess is that, yeah, they'll probably be doing that because that seems to be the Alesis thing, but we'll see. Hopefully that reliability upgrade of the Mark II version of the pads that came out afterwards will be retained. There was some spottiness sort of when the Strike first came out with its pad reliability. I've got a couple of the floor tom pads, and the reason that I have a couple is because the first one broke after a few months. The center plate cracked, which is a common issue that people have had. Luckily, Alesis are dead on it with customer service, and they just bunged me a new one, along with a couple of extra cymbal booms, because because they actually failed me too. So yeah, it's all a little bit cheap hardware-wise, unfortunately. The reliability isn't entirely there for constant sort of gigging use, but that pad issue definitely seemed to have been addressed down the line. So I imagine that they'll have learned their lesson and kept that design here too. The cymbals might still be spotty. I don't believe that there's been any improvements to their design, but some people have never had issues with them, and I've had issues with Roland cymbals before. So, you know, I mean, we're hitting stuff with sticks, things are going to fail eventually. But yeah, that's sort of just my stream of consciousness, initial thoughts on this new special edition version of the Strike Pro. Hopefully we'll get some solid news this week. It's all a little bit rushed. I just kind of wanted to get this video sort of out there because there doesn't really seem to be any information other than on this Strike Pro group. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to get ahead of the Alesis announcement really, and just sort of have a chat about, you know, how it looks and my initial impressions. So yeah, normal service will resume on Thursday. I've got a new video coming out about whether or not you should use your eDrums live, so stay tuned for that if it sounds interesting. Do the usual YouTube liking, subscribing if this video was any good for you. In fact, yeah, let me know in the comments if this format works for you. As I say, it was never really my initial intention. I just spotted it and thought that seems kind of cool. I'm just going to throw a video out. So let me know what you think. If you like this kind of thing, maybe I'll do it more often when more news breaks. And thanks to everybody who's subscribed so far. I've been getting loads of great feedback, so that's amazing. Yeah, thanks guys. I'll stop rambling now. Have a great day. See you later.